Happy Monday. Welcome into the beginning of a brand new week here on a Ravens Rundown. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us as we are going to do a mock draft roundup. I have scoured the internet and examined 16 different mock drafts of what the experts are saying the Ravens will do with their first round draft pick. We will let you know those projections and react to them in just a matter of moments here on today's show. Before we do that, though, our frenemy over at Pittsburgh Steelers Talk, the very goofy Jack Sperry, as we call him around here, he said that they got 1,000 comments on a Steelers Talk video the other day and said, there is no way that you guys could do that on an episode of Ravens Rundown. I said, Jack, we will prove you wrong today. We're going to do it today. So stick it to goofy Jack Sperry, and let's show why the Ravens flock are the best fans in the National Football League. Let's give Russell Wilson a warm introduction to the AFC North. Spam some F Sperry, some F Russes, whatever you're feeling. Let's get 1,000 comments, and we'll begin today's show. Let's start off with the one and only Mel Kiper Jr. We wouldn't be talking about the draft and mock drafts the way we do had it not been for the great Mel Kiper. And Mel Kiper is projecting that the Ravens go with Amarius Mims, the offensive tackle from Georgia. Here's more from Kiper. Falele hasn't shown enough to be the entrenched starter, and maybe general manager Eric DeCosta is thinking about the future along the offensive line. This is the draft to do that. So very interesting for Mel there, going with Mims. I think that he's going to be one of the names that's talked about for the Ravens if they go offensive tackle, as is a guy like Jordan Morgan. And I'll tell you this right now, you are going to see these names again with some of the other mock drafts here in just a bit. Here's more on Jordan Morgan. This one's from The Athletic, and the Ravens beat writer for The Athletic, Jeff Zebrick, had this to say about bringing him to Baltimore. Morgan could immediately plug in at right tackle, replacing Morgan Moses, who was traded to the Jets. He's also played a lot of left tackle at Arizona, so he'd be an option to shift to Lamar Jackson's blind side if Ronnie Stanley departs after the 2024 season. So what I like with Morgan there, you're talking about some flexibility, which would be great considering the Ravens' offensive line situation to potentially start at one position and move around to the other, that Morgan would potentially be capable of that. Meanwhile, we head to Yahoo. Yes, people still go to Yahoo. And this is where we find Nate Trice projecting the Ravens use their first-round pick also on an offensive tackle. This time, it's Kingsley Suamataia from Brigham Young University. Here is what Nate Trice had to say about why he's projecting this for the Ravens. Here is a player with real upside as a blindside blocker available for the Ravens. Suamataia will need development, but would give the Ravens a potential needle mover in the long term, while also helping shore up a position of need. So you can see, common theme here, offensive tackle, which really shouldn't surprise anybody. But there's going to be one name that we talk about that is going to get more attention than these other three that we've already started with. We will get to the rest of the names. We're 3 down, 13 more to go. But let's start with answering our pinned comment today. Who should the Ravens select in the first round of the 2024 draft? Give me a name that comes to mind that you would like to see this team bring in, and let us know. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking home runs in baseball, rebounds in basketball, maybe you're looking at fantasy points in NASCAR, all sorts of different categories to choose from. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS for a $100 deposit match on your first entry. With the baseball season just around the corner, I got my Rodriguez special for the start of the season, with Grayson Rodriguez of your Baltimore Orioles having more than 180.5 strikeouts this season, and Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners to have more than 168.5 hits. Let's say we put $20 down. That can turn into $60 on Prize Picks. Play along with me. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS for that $100 deposit match. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Daniel Jeremiah, one of my favorite experts out there of NFL media, NFL Network, NFL.com, does it all. He is projecting that the Ravens go Cooper DeJean, the corner out of Iowa, who we have called the unicorn for obvious reasons. And there's potential that he could get moved to safety. Some people have him as the best corner in this draft. I would be surprised if he slipped all the way to 30, but if he's there, this could be a good pickup for Baltimore. Here's more on Cooper DeJean from Daniel Jeremiah. Baltimore has a knack for watching tough, smart, and versatile players fall into its lap. We see it happen once again with DeJean, who comes from a noted Ravens factory at the University of Iowa, the alma mater of current Raven Tyler Linderbaum. And Cooper DeJean spoke very highly of Tyler Linderbaum at the NFL Draft Combine. Joe Klatt, the best college football analyst out there, Fox Sports calling games with Gus Johnson every week. He has the Ravens going receiver with Keon Coleman out of Florida State. Now, Coleman didn't put up the most flashy numbers last year, but we did see him dominate. If you go back to the very first game of the season, when he was on the same field with the Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels and all those great receivers like Neighbors and Thomas, Coleman outplayed all of them, had 3 touchdowns in that game. Here's what Joe Klatt had to say about the Ravens selecting him. We know great defense won't be enough. Even if you play well against Patrick Mahomes, the type of players who succeed the best with Lamar Jackson are receivers who can win 50-50 balls. Coleman fits that mold. And one thing we've talked about a lot on this program over the last few weeks has been with what the Ravens are losing on defense, they will need to stack up the offense to kind of pick up the void left behind from the defense. So that's where we could see Coleman potentially fit into that mold there. Let's go to NBC Sports. This is where we find Connor Rogers, and we have our first trade down situation. He has the Ravens trading out of their first-round pick at 30 to the second round at 47, collecting some more picks along the way, and getting Ricky Pearsall, the wide receiver from Florida. Here is more from Connor Rogers on this trade down situation. The Ravens offense needs guard and wide receiver match perfectly with what's available on day 2, making me comfortable with having them move out of round 1 in this scenario. While Baltimore moved out of pick 30, I'd have them getting pick 47 and 70 in return. Now the guy that we're going to be talking a lot about today, that is Tyler Guyton, the offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. Ryan Wilson of CBS Sports is projecting that the Ravens take him there at 30. And with Guyton, this is a guy that is still coming into his zone. He's 6'7", but still learning how to play to his size as he was really, put on the height and the weight while he was in college going along. So you talk about upside, it's there. He's still very raw, but it looks like he's heading in the right direction. Here's more from Guyton. This feels like a layup. Morgan Moses is now with Jets, and Tyler Guyton, who was dominant at right tackle for the Sooners last season, slides into the starting job. So let's ask you, what do you think about Tyler Guyton? Should the Ravens draft him? Why for yes, in for no? What do you think about that possibility of the Ravens going with a Sooner, who they've picked up a lot of guys from Norman, Oklahoma there over the years? What do you guys think? Let us know. We have our first defensive selection on our mock draft roundup as Josh Edwards of CBS Sports projects the Ravens going with Darius Robinson, the edge rusher out of Missouri. And although the Ravens have needs at some other positions that might be of more priority, Edwards sees Robinson as a guy that the Ravens don't want to miss on if they have the chance to select him at 30. Here's more from Josh Edwards. Baltimore has lost a few key pieces on the offensive line, so it is difficult to see it not addressing that unit in the first round. Despite all that, a run on the position has already taken place, and the franchise is left filling the void of Jadeveon Clowney. Let's go back to the offensive line now, where Tom Fornelli of CBS Sports has the Ravens going with Alabama offensive tackle J.C. Latham. Here's more from Fornelli. The Ravens may go receiver or corner here. Instead, But they have a need at tackle, and Latham is excellent value for them this late in the first. Plus, it's not like the Ravens don't have a long history of drafting Alabama players. That they certainly do. And with Latham, the thing that has stood out to me is that he is ready to go day one. He would be an instant starter, an impact player potentially for the Ravens if he's still around when they pick at 30. We shall see. For wall-to-wall Ravens coverage that you're not going to get anywhere else, you got to subscribe to Ravens Rundown as we're bringing you daily coverage like no one else is, from mock drafts to draft targets. We're also covering free agency, potential trades, and more. Anytime the Ravens make a move, we're going to talk about here on the channel as well. Subscribe now for the latest happenings on your favorite team each and every day here on Ravens Rundown. Doesn't cost you a thing. 100% free right here on the channel. YouTube.com/RavensTV. There he is again for the second time. We find Kyle Stackpole of CBS projecting the Ravens go Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle from Oklahoma. Stackpole said the following: the Ravens immediately replaced Morgan Moses, who was traded to the Jets during the first week of free agency, with Guyton with that selection there. We are seeing Guyton's stock rise, though, so if the Ravens get him at 30 still, I would be impressed. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, the next mock draft selection we have for you comes from the 33rd team, and they have Marcus Mosher is projecting Amarius Mims. Here's more on 33rd team, rather. Marcus Mosher projecting this. Getting Amarius Mims at number 30 is an outstanding value. He could be a dominating run blocker in Baltimore's system. His lack of experience causes him to fall in this draft, but this would be a home run selection for the Ravens. More to come in just a moment here on Ravens Rundown. But first, what's the biggest need that Baltimore needs to address in this year's draft? We're talking a lot about offensive tackles. We've seen edge rusher come up. We've seen receiver come up in these mock drafts. What say you, though? Let us know what you think the biggest need is for Baltimore in the comment section below. Another name that we have seen already, and that is Jordan Morgan, the offensive tackle from Arizona, as Vinny Eiler from Sporting News is projecting this selection. Here's more of what Sporting News had to say. The Ravens kept Ronnie Stanley on a restructured contract, but could still look at the near future of outside protection, with Stanley turning 31 in March and some concerns at right tackle. Then we see Tyler Guyton again, as Lou Statiglia from NFL Spin Zone is projecting that the Ravens take Guyton with this pick. Here's what he had to say. Trading Morgan Moses to the New York Jets opens up the right tackle spot for Tyler Guyton to come in and fill. Guyton gets to the pleasure of protecting Lamar Jackson to begin his NFL career. So you can see kind of the ongoing theme there, that a lot of excitement about Tyler Guyton and his potential role with the Ravens, which certainly, if that's the pick, I'm not going to complain about it one bit. Here's the receiver option that would be very intriguing, I think, if the Ravens are going to go this route, as Trevor Sigmia from Pro Football Focus has the Ravens going with Xavier Worthy, the wide receiver from the University of Texas, who broke the record for the fastest 40 time of all time. So not only could you go receiver here, you go with the fastest player to ever play football, I guess, with Xavier Worthy here. Here's more from PFF. Mr. 4-2-1 likely booked a ticket to the first round with his record-breaking 40-yard dash at the scouting combine. I can see the Ravens as a potential landing spot. Getting that consistent deep threat on the field would open up things for Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews underneath. And, I mean, that would add a whole nother element to this Ravens offense if you add Xavier Worthy with his skill set there. Got some more for you here. Let's go DB now to Minnesota as we find Chris Trapazzo from CBS Sports projecting the Ravens go Tyler Nubin. With Nubin and Kyle Hamilton, the Ravens would boost two long, athletic, and instinctive safeties on their defense. And I think that's the key, athleticism, which John Harbaugh loves. He certainly would be able to get a lot out of both those guys together in that secondary unit there. What is your confidence level for your Baltimore Ravens heading into this year's draft? Scale it for me 1 through 10. How are you feeling about this team? I'm feeling pretty good right now, but there's still obvious work to be done, right? I'm going with about a 7 or 8 personally. What are you going with? Weigh in, tell us what you think. The last player is Patrick Paul, offensive tackle from Houston. This is from Chad Reuter of NFL.com and NFL Media. The 6'7", 331-pound blocker could compete with Daniel Falele and or Patrick McCarry for the right tackle job, or step in if Stanley misses time again this season, as the veteran has not played 14 games or more in a season since 2019. So I don't have Paul as a first-round projection, but staying with the constant theme of the offensive tackle spot seems to be the case. So to recap by the numbers here, of these 16 mock drafts, we got 3 votes for Tyler Guyton. So he's the clear and obvious favorite at this point if you're the Baltimore Ravens, and I think you'd be thrilled if you get Tyler Guyton. We got 2 votes for Amarius Mims, which I think he would be the second choice. If Guyton's not around, then Mims would be the other option. And then there's Jordan Morgan, which I think would be probably your third option if you had to break it down between these 3. But it seems very clear that offensive tackle is the most likely scenario for the Ravens here, and Tyler Guyton is the clear favorite at this point in time. If you made it to the end of today's video through 16 different mock drafts, you're what we call a real one here at Chat Sports. Spam flock in the comments section. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time here on the channel.